Hi, Prince.
Hi,
How are you doing? How is everything going for you?
everything is well. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. And I believe that we're going to have a great conversation. And what's an honor to really have you as a friend and as someone that, share the same mission and vision of supporting young refugees and youth who are marginalized. And yeah, I'm glad that you joined me today.
Thank you.
And I don't want really to say something that doesn't apply to you because I know you're a great person. So please introduce yourself.
There's nothing big about me. I'm just like any other student. Anyway, my name is Ishimwe Prince Archimedes, and I'm a student at Mbara University of Science and Technology, and I do petroleum engineering and environmental management. I'm in my final year, and I'm a refugee youth advocate in fields of education, among others. Yeah, that's it.
That's so inspiring. I fear engineering, so hearing from you studying engineering, it must be a great journey and a great field to actually pursue.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you mentioned about, advocacy, you advocate for the rights of refugees, and I do the same. And from my experience, I've met a lot of young people who I wouldn't say complain, but who really speak about the challenges that they face in accessing higher education. And luckily enough, you've got the opportunity to go to university. And so I want to know how hard or how easy was the journey? Like, what are the main challenges that you really encountered in accessing higher education?
Oh, oh, I've answered that question very many times in different ways. But anyway, just like any other person, just like any other refugee, you are from a background that does not really favor you financially. So, like, the biggest
Mm,
challenge I faced is limited financial resources. You do not have the hopes of going to university because you know your family and your relatives around you, even friends around you cannot really do anything to give you financial support to go to university. So that was like a very big challenge for me. And I remember I had to like even not include it in my minds that I will go to university with the support
yeah.
of family. So because of that, I had to think outside the box and find other ways of getting university education. And of course, there was other challenges that I faced. Take an example, like I did not have information about opportunities available for going to university. I know there are many scholarship opportunities, many funding opportunities that would have been like a great milestone in my life to go to university.
Mm,
I didn't know that information because of the setting, because of the background I had, because of the people around me. And also, there's always, because you have refugee status, there's always that discrimination and restrictions
right.
um, in the public, of course. So that also, you may not see it physically, but when you do something like you want to go to university to get admission or anything like that,
Yeah.
there's always that restriction and that discrimination within
Yeah.
the institutions, which is also like a very big challenge. And of course, I was a young person trying to find life. I had mental
Yeah.
health issues, so
I know.
I could not go to university. That was traumatizing itself. So the mental health by that time was not that at its best. So
Mm.
yeah, that was also a challenge itself.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you shared a couple of challenges that I think we share, like as refugees, especially. I know there are, of course, unique challenges, per country, but there are also, those common challenges. Like you mentioned, you didn't have a role model. And, that's something that a lot of refugees are struggling with. Who do I go to? Who do I ask, for help? Because I don't know anyone, maybe in my community. And something that people don't often talk about, which is mental health.
Yeah,
How did you navigate that? Like how did you overcome those challenges?
I was honestly. traumatized in those periods. I was thinking about a lot. I was
Hmm.
it's, honestly my biggest passion in life was to get education, and I think it still is.
Right.
If there is
Yeah.
anything that can motivate me to the maximum is having to get education. I don't mind if
Yeah.
it's not bad, but finding myself in education institution
Hmm.
is much more inspiring. So because of that, when I remember that I could not go to university because I don't have the money to pay, that was itself a very big challenge. So to overcome that, I remember I'm a person who always cannot say no to something. I always say, I may say no, but there's always a yes somewhere. So I
Yeah.
always find ways of how I can go to university and of how I can escape these things that were in my mind that I could not go to university. Take an example, when I could not allow to think about that, though it was always on my mind. So I used to find fellow friends that I can talk to. I used to go and find peace with other people, and so we can talk about some other things. And so I should not give time to think about this every time, because the more I thought about it, the more it
Hmm.
kept eating my mind and then giving me zero hopes to go to university.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. And I think that that's what we should do really. Network with people, ask for help when necessary. And how did you navigate the application process? Because I know sometimes it can be intense, especially for, refugees who don't have a good educational background, navigating those essays. How did you do that?
Yeah, like I told you, I didn't have information about these opportunities, but because of
Right.
my situation, um, a yes that I found in me somewhere, I
Hmm.
had to go and find out these opportunities. I'm going to give one
Wow.
example. It's even funny. When before I even completed my high school, I knew I'm not going to get a university education if it's not a scholarship. So at least I knew that there are
Yeah.
scholarships somewhere, and I was
Hmm.
studying on a scholarship in my high school. So I knew this scholarship has scholarship opportunities for those who are going to do undergraduate education somewhere. So I had to, when I went home for like, I don't remember what, but I had a phone, and then I had to search on Google and find out, different scholarships for refugees within Africa. Then
Uh,
I landed on Ashes University, and I
wow.
didn't know what Ashes means. I didn't know like, anything about that. So I just made a random application. I filled in
Hmm.
details and all that. So they kept sending me emails. Prince, we need this, because my application, of course, was incomplete. I didn't know what
Yeah.
to submit. So they kept sending me emails. I think got to understand that I'm a refugee, so I may not understand some of these things. I think that's a
Right.
with some of the admission administrators in different universities. When they find that you are from a minority group, they always give you attention to make sure that you
Hmm.
that. So they always sent me emails and all that. So because of that, when I finished my university, I mean when I finished my national exams, so I went home and concentrated on whatever they wanted. I went on YouTube, watched all those videos, and then learned how to do those essays. In our time, there was no AI that would help you write all those, so I had to write it myself. And I think a very big opportunity that I had was having to be in different debates and speech competitions in my high school. Because of that, I knew how to write essays, but not the best essays that could win a scholarship. So with all that, that's what helped me to write all those essays. So I applied to different universities, like many universities. I don't even know. You could apply, and then they send you a rejection email, and you ask yourself when you apply to this university. But I applied to very many universities, and I can tell you that um, actually almost all of them they gave me a no,
Hmm.
which was a bit traumatizing.
I know.
Yeah, but then yeah, if you keep trying, you of course land on an opportunity that gives you a chance. So the scholarship, I remember I applied to join a university here, and then when I was there actually thinking about how I'm going to get tuition, that's when I got information that one of the scholarships I had applied to is calling me for an interview. when I was at university for like 2 weeks, I think. So
Yeah.
I traveled to Kigali to do an interview. I did an interview. They were very welcoming because I think they knew I'm from a minority group. They were very welcoming.
Yeah.
And then like 2 days after, I got news that I had the scholarship. Yeah. So
Congratulations.
basically, um, me being in okay, having a scholarship in my high school, of course, that was a Mastercard Foundation scholarship under BRAC.
Mm,
um,
mm,
and War Child Canada. So it helped me a lot to understand that I can still get the same scholarship, or I can still get a scholarship, even if it's not MasterCard, I can still get the same scholarship to fund my university education. And I remember in that period, I had to meet very many people who were like my mentors. I could go,
yeah.
I meet people who are talking about these applications. They always give their email addresses that
Mm,
I remember writing to some of them, they replied. And in actually, it's even funny in that, period, that's how I got to meet you. I remember writing
right.
through someone and they got me your email address. So all this motivated me to, not give up. People like
Right.
you who already had these scholarships, people, I don't want to mention them here, but I know like people who had these scholarships.
Mm,
I always had it in my mind that if they have it, then why not me? I
right.
I can still do what it takes, and so I can be like them. Yeah.
Wow, that's really inspiring, and I've learned a lot from what you've been saying. I mean, what you were saying. It's not about people coming to you; it's rather you, looking for the opportunities. Because sometimes you might not get the opportunity or the chance to know people, who are scholars or who have benefited from different scholarship opportunities, but your courage to look for opportunities, your courage to go on YouTube, watch videos, or write on Google, look for scholarship opportunities available for refugees. That's really so, inspiring and
Yeah, it is.
motivating.
I remember like,
Yeah.
well, I think the most challenge I've seen with people who are always asking me is
Mm,
they go to Google and find opportunities. Yes, they have the opportunities at hand. Yes, but I think
mm,
they don't want to read to understand.
right.
There's the read
Uh,
just to read, and then there's the read to understand. I remember that is one of the things someone told me. Someone from Arthur University told me that you have to read and understand these things. If you read and understand everything, there's nothing you have to ask me. And I remember
that's
reading
true.
the same application and then I understood everything. And I was like, this is enough for me, so I can complete this application.
Yeah. Wow. And like how inspiring it is that you mentioned about persistency, not just applying for one scholarship,
Yeah.
but try apply to a lot of them. If you get five rejections, maybe you get one acceptance. And that's how you get mentors, as you said. And mentors play a huge role in life transformation. I've been transformed through mentorship, so I know how important it is, especially for young people, to have mentors. And so thank you so much for highlighting that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we know that there are a lot of organizations, refugee-led organizations, non-profit stakeholders who are trying, to support refugees. And like currently it's only 7% refugees who are accessing higher education globally. And it's an issue, and so like many people or stakeholders are trying to address that. And there is a project that was launched by UNHCR, I think that was in 2023. They call it 15 by 2030, where they want to achieve 15% of young refugees attending higher education by 2030. So, what's your message, or what do you wish that stakeholders should really prioritize in addressing these barriers faced by refugees in accessing higher education?
Uh, Good question. I was asked the same question, I think, almost the same question. Yeah. And they wanted to pick my ideas. But I always have
Mhm.
one idea that will help,
Right.
I think, every refugee. and I think it's a challenge for youth in refugee communities. They go to school, okay, we go to school, we study primary
Mm,
school, and maybe study secondary school and high school. And because of what we studied, will either motivate us to go for university education or tertiary institutions, I mean TVET, or they will want to do something else other than education. So, and what are some of these things that we do in high school that stop us from continuing to university education? It is because in our high school journey, we do not even get anything to motivate us. You're just in school and you have your poor grades. No one is caring because most of the times the school setting in refugee communities is always not at its best. I can say it's not nice. It's not the best. So you
right.
have poor grades, no one is motivating you. You have your poor grades and you keep going to another class year by year, which I think is a very big challenge. So if these stakeholders came into to fund and also motivate these refugee students at lower levels of education, maybe at primary school,
Mm,
secondary school levels, these refugees will actually, the percentage number of refugees who go to tertiary institutions and universities would increase. And this is how. Because a student is going to, at the end of it all, finish high school when they have motivation that
mm,
they can go and do something at university.
right.
Because they have good grades, that have been motivated, that have been taken care of. Um,
Mm,
they also, because if this is being done year by year and maybe in 5 years or 10 in the long run, you have refugees who are being motivated by others who are already at university. And then they know, yeah, this, my friend or my brother or my sister passed through the same way, so why not? So it all starts from um, stakeholders joining in lower levels of
mm.
education to motivate and take care of these refugee students, these refugee pupils in primary school and secondary school, and so they can keep that motivation from the early stages. And so this helps them to go and attain university education.
Wow, I just love your perspective of this challenge because a lot of people just say increase scholarship opportunities for refugees, increase scholarship. But then sometimes if you increase scholarship opportunities and there are no refugees eligible for those scholarship opportunities, then it's wastage of time. But
I
as you said, if you address the root cause, that will, you know, encourage even refugees. If I have good grades, I have good educational background, then I don't even have to suffer, from just benefiting from scholarship opportunities specifically available for refugees. Because we know there's, a lot of opportunities which are, available for everyone. So if I know that I'm eligible, it will be easier for me to just, explore those opportunities.
Yeah, the opportunities are there. I can assure you,
Mm,
opportunities for refugees are there, but we
hmm.
just do not qualify. And that's a
Right.
very big challenge. And I think that's what these university institutions and also partnering institutions, stakeholders cannot speak. If they receive, take an example, 100 applicants and maybe 20
Mm,
of them are from refugees, like only two refugees are eligible, and the university has its own minimum standards, minimum requirements.
yeah.
They will not
Yeah.
be sympathetic with you to give you admission when you do not qualify. So the scholarships are there.
Wow.
It's just that we do not qualify. We are not ready.
Wow. Thanks for flagging that out. I really love that. And yeah, just to end the conversation, like which message would you give to young refugees who still think that it's not possible to access higher education as a refugee?
We've given a lot of messages like in
Mm,
in such a way, but um, I think the a refugee background does not define who you're going to be in the future. Take an example. Your background does not define your future. Yeah, I've seen people, and I think that's actually the same message I would give to my younger self. Because if I was to consider my background and where my personality was telling me to go, I think I wouldn't be here. So
mhm,
because of that, if you try to know your background and then you try to find solutions for the background, then you really make it. If take an example, you're from a refugee community, everything is delicate in a refugee community. There is nothing inspiring in a refugee community. But then you are there to know that maybe when I'm 25, 30, 40 years, I'm the one who will be doing this to make sure that this ends. So you
Mm,
start working hard, and you eventually be that person. So most of the times the the background should itself motivate you to be whatever you want.
mm,
And actually, one something I can tell you is the moment these stakeholders, these universities, these organizations get to understand that you are a focused refugee or a
mm,
focused person from any minority group,
mm.
they will not let you go anywhere. They will hold you like this, and they will want to
Right.
use you. They want to explore that passion in you. They will give you everything
Mm,
it takes to make sure that you shine, to make sure that you achieve that mission. Because I mean, you're from
mm.
a minority group, and you are the people that can only change that community.
That's true. Yeah, that's a great message. Instead of being discouraged or like dismotivated by the background, we should be, we should use it as a stepping stone, towards achieving our goals. And as you said, opportunities are there, like it's up to us to actually use them. And yeah, how I wish that refugees can really take this message seriously, because, I believe we can do better, like we can be great people. We can, that like we shouldn't really be defined by our status or, just allow people to overlook us, just because we are refugees. And yeah, thank you so much. That was a great message, really.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
I know in some cases you may have that motivation and have everything, but there's always a demotivation that comes in, that after all, I'm a refugee, so there's nothing that's going to change. If you have anything like that, please do not force yourself. Go have fun with the boys tomorrow morning, come back, do the same thing. Do it until you finish it. Do not just leave it along the way. Do it until you finish it and do as many as you can. Maybe one
Yeah.
of them, or five of them is going to give you a chance, and then you will have a future that you dreamt of.
I totally agree, and thank you so much for highlighting the power of persistence. Sometimes we miss out on a lot of opportunities just because we gave up too early. And as you mentioned, we shouldn't give up on our dreams until we achieve them. Wow, what's a powerful message to give. And thank you so much. I'm really grateful for your time and sharing your experience, your insights, and the messages to young people, especially refugees. I've learned a lot from this conversation and hoping to have more conversations like this. And to the people who will be watching, I hope this conversation will be inspiring to you. I hope you will learn a lot from it, and stay tuned for more insightful conversations like this.